Alright, so in today's video, I'm going to be teaching you how to use every single secondary gadget on defense in Rainbow Six Siege. Alright, so the first gadget that I'm going to talk about is the Deployable Shield. So the Deployable Shield can be a very strong asset because it slows down attacker pushes and forces them to go into the player behind it or destroy the shield. So where you want to be using these shields is in places where you know they're going to push. So a great example, and what you'll see a lot of times, is people will put a shield in vase looking onto the hookah door. And they'll put it like right here. Now the reason you don't put it on this doorway, not only because it makes it a little harder to rotate into hookah if you're not using the rotate or the rotate right there, but if you were to put it close to the door or on the door frame, the ADSs that are on this wall wouldn't be able to protect it. So people will move it back an inch so that the ADS on the wall can protect the shield. But the issue with this is they can just throw a nade on, like, let's say the edge of this door frame. So it's still not in front of the wall, but the blast radius is still able to get the shield. So what people do is they grab the shield and they put it all the way back here, so that's not allowed to happen. But this also allows you to walk through the door still, and it still allows you to run across like this without having to go behind the shield. So just whenever you're putting shields on doorways or next to walls, you don't want to put them too close, you want to scoot them back. And that's my tip with deployable shields. The next secondary gadget I'm going to be talking about is bulletproof cameras. So with bulletproof cameras, they're now able to move around and they shoot an EMP burst. So this opens up a lot more versatility with where you can put these cams and what you can do with them. So first of all, I just want to go over what they do. Whenever you shock somebody with that EMP blast, somebody like, let's say, a Yana, or just anybody in general, if you directly EMP them, they can no longer use their ability or their drones. Now, this is dependent from ability to ability. Like Yana, if you shock her, she cannot use her clone at all. But if you shock an ace, he can still throw on his ace charges and get the wall open. So if you want to learn who you can and can't shock with these cameras, I would go into custom games and just kind of try it out. I haven't done that, so I don't quite know who all is affected in what sort of way. But just know you can do some pretty sneaky stuff with this camera. Not only are you able to disable their ability to drone by shooting the actual player, but if a drone comes through this hallway, you can shoot the drone. This effectively disables the drone like a mute jammer would for a short period of time, and then you can come in here and destroy it. However, if it's a Flores drone and you shock it, once it wakes back up, it immediately just explodes. It doesn't start crawling forward. So it's a really good counter to Flores. The reason that I brought you onto this map, though, is because putting a bulletproof cam right here, or putting a bulletproof cam on Cool Vibes, allows you to deny the drone, the Flores drone in particular, that comes into vase to kill your shield. So what I like to do personally, if there's a deployable shield here, you just combo it with your bulletproof cam. You try to place it as high as you can onto this wall, and then once you see the Flores drone come to get your shield, you can shoot it, and then it just explodes right there. A safer option, though, if you're not as accurate with this EMP blast, is you can just go ahead and put it on one or two of these walls. I'm gonna put mine right here, though. And this covers the door if any Flores drones try to come through here. But the only reason that I don't like putting it there over putting it here is if they try to Flores drone through this AC duct right here, you have to rely on your smoke player being able to shoot it instead of the bulletproof camera shocking it. So just use your camera to shock drones as much as possible. Now, it isn't really hard to do because the shock on these cameras are very fast recharging. So look at how fast it's recharging. That's literally already halfway done. By the time a Flores comes in and sends another drone in, you'll already have an EMP ready to go. So very good Flores counter. That's my tip for bulletproof cameras. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to be going over is the Nitro Cell. So the Nitro Cell is just a bomb that you can pre-place and blow up, or you can throw at people and then blow up once they're next to you. So there's a lot of potential with this gadget, but my tip would be if you're going to pre-place a nitro, let's say below or above a doorway, next to a wall, etc., somewhere where you can hear it, you hear that beeping. So that beeping will actually get faster when someone is near it. So you can use that sound cue as a way to know if someone's near the Nitro Cell, and then when someone gets near it, you blow it up. So that's just a good piece of information for nitro cells. It's good if you have pre-placed nitro cells, like example would be in a doorway, or if you want to kind of shoot out the floor a little bit, and then you'd put it under this little floor panel. It does make it a lot easier to hear as defenders, but attackers can hear it also pretty easily, so just be aware of that. But if you're in a gunfight and there's a lot going on, chances are, once they're already in and they're kind of trapped in here behind this couch, which most attackers are when they walk in, your nitro cell is probably going to kill them 9 times out of 10. So putting them in places where if the attackers are on it, they can't leave because they're in a gunfight with you, is always just really good if you want to use that sound. So that's my tip for nitro cells, is use that loud pinging as a way to know if an attacker's near it and then blow it up. The next gadget I'm going to be talking about is proximity alarms. So there are 2 information secondary gadgets on defense. There's proximity alarms and there's barbed wire. Now, the reason that people use barbed wire the way they do and why it's so popular is because it locks down a large area and the attackers have to go through it in order to get somewhere to contest you, and by the time that they do, you'll have heard them walk through it or destroy it, if you're using it correctly, of course. So the thing with barbed wire is it makes noise when you destroy it, and you have to either use utility or knife it to destroy it. Now with proximity alarms, they effectively do the same thing in terms of like providing information, but if they're droned out or people just see the blue light on them, that's extremely obvious whenever it's placed down, they can easily just be shot, right? So you want to be putting these things in not only very hidden places, but you want to be putting them further away from sight. That way that whenever they do walk through the proximity alarm, you'll be able to react and hold the angle of where they're at before they're able to like be in a gunfight with you. So let's say I put a proximity alarm here. This is really bad. Why is this bad? Because if I'm playing, let's say in billiards, and I want to know if they're pushing me from here, they can still be inside of VIP here and able to take a gunfight with me before I know they're there based off my alarm. So instead, what I would want to do is put it further in here. So if they're coming in through this doorway or they're coming in through this wall, I could put a prox alarm at the top of this doorway, or I could put it on like the ledge of this couch, so when they walk in through this space it goes off, or if they're coming in through the wall and they're pushing here to like maybe nade through the drone hole, I could put it in one of these shelves and it hides it really well. Like they're not going to see that prox alarm when they push through here, right? Or another one that's pretty good if you know you're just holding the doorway from a different angle would be like right there. But just try to hide these in places and put them on off angles so the attackers can't shoot you before they go off, making them pretty much useless, if that makes sense. Alright, the next secondary gadget we'll talk about with defenders is going to be impacts. Now, my tip for impacts is learning how to impact trick. What is impact tricking? If you have a reinforced wall and you don't have any wall denial, same goes for hatches, anything like that, you can do something called impact tricking, which is essentially they put the hard breach on the wall and you throw your grenade in a hole that you make, which is why I chose Alibi, because she has a bailiff, you can make holes, and you throw the impact at the roof through the hole you made. Just like that. Now that explodes this entire area on the hard wall. It only looks like it explodes this part, but it actually explodes anything that's also in the center of the reinforced wall as well. So if they put a thermite down and you throw an impact through the hole, it will destroy the thermite. And thermite only has 2 charges and you have 2 impacts, so it can actually be a great way to counter thermite. Now the reason I chose Villa for this map is because every single wall in Villa is impact trickable. You have the bar walls, impact trickable. You have all of these walls, impact trickable. You have the vault wall, impact trickable. All of these walls, impact trickable. Let's go to trophy. Wolf wall, impact trickable. Triple wall, impact trickable. This wall isn't impact trickable, but all of these walls are. The bathroom walls are. This wall is impact trickable. All of these walls are. That wall is. All of these walls are. All of these walls are. You get the picture. Every single wall, except for that one wall upstairs, is impact trickable. And I didn't even reinforce it to check, so that wall up there might even be impact trickable too. But you get the picture. There are a lot of maps where there's a good gap above the reinforced wall, like shown inside of study, where you can shotgun above it and impact trick. But I couldn't do this just on coastline, because actually on coastline there are 0 walls that are impact trickable, so I had to bring you onto this map. But yeah, that's my tip with impact grenades, learn how to impact trick. Alright, so for the final defending secondary gadget, you have barbed wire. So a lot of people will put barbed wire in places like in front of doorways. Now this is bad, and I'm going to tell you why. Barbed wire is meant, 1, to slow down the attacking rush, and 2, mainly to provide a sound cue for you, just like I was saying with proximity alarms. Because as you can see, if I walk through this, it makes a lot of noise. If I crouch through it, it makes some noise, but not as much. But you get what I mean. It makes a lot of noise. And now putting it here,
Spotted by hostiles, fall back.
the idea is that it slows down the attackers when they run in, right? You didn't see me slow down because I'm a defender, but if I'm an attacker, it actually considerably slows you down and shakes your screen a little bit. So the idea behind people putting it here is it just slows it down. And it provides a sound cue if someone's on the door when they try to break it. But I'm going to tell you why this is a bad idea. If you put barbed wire right here, all the attacker has to do is sit on this doorway and quick peek and knife like this. And now it's gone. So that literally did nothing. Now you can say, oh, but it lets you know they're on the doorway. Well, in order to break this barbed wire, they have to break the barricade. And that is going to give you all the sound cue that you need. So wasting barbed wire on a sound cue where you already know they're there is kind of dumb. Now a better place to put barbed wire would be somewhere like right here. Why is that infinitely better than this? Because you can't just safely go up to it and knife it, because you're exposed to the door, you're exposed to the rotate, you're exposed to the smoke holes, you're exposed to the person behind bar, you're exposed to the rotate, you're exposed to the head holes here if they have it. So obviously you're exposed to a lot, but because you can't safely destroy it, it slows you down and it makes a lot of noise, so they know you're in the objective now. And this, even if they don't know you're there, is a very hard site for attackers to control. Usually what happens is, because there's so many angles that they have to cover, they come in here, plant, and immediately run out. Plus, not to mention, it's a wooden floor, so the verticality does kind of catch you off guard sometimes. So keeping that in mind, the only reasonable way that they destroy this barbed wire is they use utility. And if they're using any sort of utility to get rid of barbed wire instead of something more important, that is amazing. Not only because barbed wire, compared to other utility, is a lot less useless, but because you have 2 of them, right? And if they're destroying the barbed wire, that still gives you a sound cue when they're destroying it, just as much as it would give you a sound cue if they're walking through it. So even when it's destroyed, it's doing its job. So try to put your barbed wire in high traffic locations, but not so high traffic that they can knife it without being in danger. That is my tip for barbed wire. With all of that out of the way, that's going to be pretty much it for today's video, guys. If you want to see a single video about every single different gadget in Rainbow Six Siege, leave a like on the video. I'm also thinking about doing like how to set up every single site correctly, because I see a lot of people not setting up sites correctly and reinforcing the wrong walls. So if you made it this far into the video and you want to see that, comment strats in the comments so I know that y'all want to see that type of content. With that out of the way, don't forget to sub, like the video if you liked it. My name's Alka, and I'll see you in the next one.